Hey guys, it's Kim again, and I'm here with the third battle report. It will be Moria versus Rohan, and it's gonna be a quick video, I think, because real time the video only took about 40 minutes to film the whole battle report, partly in due to the mission. And a side note, I have never rolled so bad in my entire life. I think throughout the whole game, I probably only rolled eight sixes. A majority of the time, it was ones, twos, and threes. At one point in the game, my cave troll needed to wound a guard and a regular rider of Rohan on threes. I rolled a 1, 1, and a 2, and there was another incident where my captain had called the combat, and Jerry rolled a 1, and I rolled 2 1s. All I needed was a 2, and even with the reroll, it became a 1. So pretty much this battle, it was still an enjoyable game, but essentially nothing I did tactic-wise mattered due to my horrific rolling. And it didn't help that Jerry was rolling like a god, like consistent sixes. It was really enjoyable. For the latter half, the first half was a bit frustrating, not gonna lie, but at a certain point in the game, things were going so bad you can only laugh at just how ridiculous some of the situations were, especially with Durbers. I think I had trapped a model and I called a combat and he whiffed completely. I think rolling again a high of a 2, re-rolling into a 1. So it was hit back, and hopefully you guys enjoy the game. So here's the new table we have. Thanks to Jerry, we have the Rohan terrain painted up. So as you guys can see, here's the map we would be playing on. And unfortunately, the mission we rolled was Wreck and Order. And this is, I guess, advice for any faction at an event that for the primary mission or objectives you can't win at. Don't worry. My advice is aim for a tie. Pretty much, you're going to be wasting your time trying to get the primary objective, especially in this game. My opponent had an all-cav list, so this mission was almost an auto win for him. So rather than me just giving him the win, my goal and tactic was to either end the game before his dudes cross the board, which would be very unlikely, or break him and wound his leader, and just get one model off the board to make it a tie. That was the best hope I had. So I encourage any new player or any players at an event, when this same or similar situation comes up, don't freak out. Just think clearly, focus on the secondary objectives, and you'll be fine. So onto my army. It's very similar to the 600 point list I made, but for this game, I really wanted to take my Goblin Archer Captain, so I did that. So the warband you see ahead of you is Durbers, once again being the leader. He was leading a Cave Troll for Hammer, a Bat Swarm, a Wild Warg, Marauder, the Goblin Drums, 2 Goblin Archers, as you guys can see the Goblin Spears and the Goblin Shields. Moving on, we have the Goblin Shaman. He will be leading again 6 Goblins, 3 Spears, 3 Shields. Next warband would be the Goblin Captain, armed with a shield, with his various goblins equipped with what you see, plus the second Warg Marauder. And now the new warband was a Goblin Archer Captain with a shield and 2 Goblin Archers and the other goblins. So Jerry ran Theodred, leading multiple Riders of Rohan, 2, I think, Royal Guard, and 2 Sons of Eol, which I've never played against. It was very interesting. And then his next warband was led by Erkenbrand, I believe his name is. And the ones with the red shield are his upgraded versions, I think. But as you guys can see, he had an all-cav list. It was very intimidating, especially for Wreck and Order. And you'll see how the game continues with that. The first turn was pretty straightforward. I got priority, and only Durbers and the Shield Captain's warband got onto the table, while for Jerry, only Theodred and we just both of us just moved up the table. On to turn 2, the rest of the armies came onto the table, as you guys can see. During my turn, my regular captain called a march, moving up the center of the table. I did this because I wanted to push up as fast as possible to stop Jerry from coming too far into the table and reduce where his options of movement were. So turn 3, everyone moved up and had our first combat engagements with a bat swarm and a warg marauder on one rider, of cave troll on one rider, and another marauder on another rider. And the combat went horribly wrong for me, with my bat swarm and marauder losing to a single rider, Rohan. Mind you, I'm rolling 6 dice with a reroll, and I still couldn't beat him. But on the other side, the marauder barely managed to win, and with my 4 dice, I barely managed to roll a single 6 to kill the other rider. And on to the most important combat was my cave troll, who lost the fight to a single rider. Jerry rolled the 6 and I rolled the high of a 3. This ruined my whole plan since I had set myself up for a hurl that would dismount potentially up to 4 riders and Theurgid if it went off. The point of this was to force Jerry to play in the center to protect his leader, who would now be dismounted. But since it didn't work out, a big part of my plan already failed. Turn 4, the priority went to Jerry, so I had to call a move off of Durbers to mitigate some of the positioning Jerry could have done if I didn't contest him. Of course, Jerry did counter heroic move with Theurgid, but thankfully, due to my poor rolling skills, it went off to evil. And as you can see, I moved Durbers in a relatively safe position. I mainly called the move to also move the Bat Swarm to ensure it didn't get knocked down if I lost the fight. And getting my Cave Troll in a semi-better position doesn't hurt. The move was important to try tagging as many models as I could. However, with a pitiful movement of 5, I couldn't get what I wanted. This turn I had to move the drums so they couldn't play, because if I didn't move them, they were in a position that they would get charged and potentially just die outright, and I couldn't risk that. And after the move, it went off to Jerry's regular movement. He moved his whole force. Starting with Erkenbrand's Warband, they slightly moved into the middle to assist, with Theurgid and 2 guard charging my second Marauder, thus trapping him. And he was able to engage many of my models. And this was where I made the biggest mistake in the game, and this is where I told Jerry I probably lost the game. After movement, we moved to combat, and halfway through combat, it just hit me. I did not move the rest of my force. I completely forgot to move the 10 goblins below to assist and peel off some warriors, and my whole archer flank, I didn't move those goblins as well. During the time, I don't know what I was thinking. I probably thought the heroic move was my movement, but things were looking so grim at this point, and I was sure this was the final nail in the coffin, and you'll see eventually that I was right. So while you guys watch Jerry surround my goblins, I just want to say thank you for all the support y'all been giving me lately. It really means a lot. It helps me continue making all this content for you guys. And please, any feedback is welcome about the way we film. If you want to see certain army lists, please let us know. We have access to Rohan, Moria, Gondor, Isengard, and Mordor. So if you want to see any of those factions played on the channel, just hit me up. So the combat of turn 4, Jerry began with calling a heroic combat off of Theurgid, and of course Theurgid and his 2 riders of Rohan easily killed off the second Marauder who was trapped, and he simply moved them to join other fights just to throw more dice and kill more goblins. And after the heroic combat, we just went down the line, and while you guys can watch the film, Jerry was winning many of them. I had no drum reroll. Jerry was rolling like a madman. I have never seen so many sixes in my entire life. And even calling Channel Fury, it didn't help. I was probably taking 3 to max 4 wounds on each goblin, and there was no way I could roll that many sixes. If it was a single wound, there was a chance, but with that many dice coming at each goblin, I was just picking them off the table like wet noodles at this point. Yeah, with the charge bonus too, the extra dice, the +1 strength, most of my goblins were equivalent to wearing like a t-shirt at this point. And I want to say it was around this turn I had maybe 15 dead goblins at the end of this combat to 2 dead Rohan riders, so the odds were not in my favor whatsoever. And another decent opportunity finally presented itself with my cave troll combat. So up until this point, I believe I lost almost every single combat, and if the goblins didn't die, they just backed away. And so I was really hoping my cave troll could at least mitigate all of this loss. And he did. He won his combat against a single rider, and I thought, let me barge, go close to the middle, kill a royal guard, another dude, and I'm in a position to threaten now Theodred and more useful models. The barge went off, I moved up, and I was so hyped, like, oh, this is it. I get into the combat, and Jerry, I think, rolled the high of a 3, and finally, one of my 8 6s popped up. I rolled a 6. I was so ecstatic. I was so happy. This is my moment. This is a time to win the game. And I rolled a 1, 1, and a 2. All I needed to kill the Royal Guard and the Rider was a simple 3. And at this point, I just started laughing, because no matter what tactical decision I made, no matter what a new outcome could present itself, the dice gods were like, nope, fuck you. So at this point, Jerry felt so bad. He kept saying, Young, you know, we can restart the game. And I told Jerry, you know what, man? I just gotta show everyone how the dice can always betray you at certain moments. But at the same time, I was just laughing. If you guys could hear the actual recordings, I was laughing the whole time, but just like how sad these goblins were. And Jerry, he, in a way to comfort me, he said the only reason why he was rolling so well was because he had flock on his Rohan bases, and we were fighting on his terrain. And he was calling my goblins like pillagers and colonizers, and I was offended because my goblins are simple folk who just want some food. On to the next turn, turn 5. I believe Jerry once again got priority, and so I had to burn off another might off of Durbers, and I believe Theodred used his last might to call another heroic move as well, and this time the dice gods did not smile upon me, and Jerry got the priority, which for me was probably truly the final nail in the coffin, because with this, all of his models, as you guys can see watching the game, they're all gonna get all the charge bonuses. Every Rohan rider that's important is getting the charge off. And so for me, looking at this, I was assuming now, like, my goblin center wall is completely gone, my characters are all exposed, I don't have enough bodies to funnel and shield off from the onslaught. And it was good Jerry had called the move. Initially he wasn't. I did tell Jerry, because he was worried Theodred had 1 might left, so he was trying to save it for something more useful. So after I called the move, Jerry was just going to give it to me, and I told Jerry, you're going to have to counter it. If you don't, I'm going to be in a better spot. If you do call the move now, pretty much that's a game for me. And after we talked about it, he realized it too, and that's why he called it as well. So looking at the middle, I kind of, in a way, almost read it off, because I thought, oh, you know what? I have my other flank, they'll be fine. And after the heroic move, it was still Jerry's priority, so Erkenbrand's whole warband finally made contact with my archer captain's warband, and he just got maybe 3 combats in, So when it was my turn, I grabbed my captain, surrounded one of the riders of Rohan with 6 total goblins. The point of that was called combat. Shoot them out and start tagging models. Just try to start killing some Rohan dudes, because now Jerry had a massive body advantage and hitting power advantage. And this is where another huge, massive oversight comes from me. From the 9 goblins below, I believe I forgot to move 6 of them once again. I think at this point, I lost way too many goblins. All of my tactical decisions backfired or didn't go off. So I think I was really tunnel visioning on that heroic move. That I honestly forgot the goblins below, which again is really hindering me, because having 6 to 9 goblins not joining the fight is massive. It felt like I felt real dumb not moving them up. I should have paid more attention. That's all on me. But I was just so focused on this cave troll, Durber's positioning, how could I save my drums, that I just forgot them. So word of caution to Moria players: before you go to the combat phase, look at the whole table. Make sure you moved every single little goblin. I know we do have a lot of them, but like, pay a lot of attention. But yeah, so after all the moves and heroics, this is what the table looks like. There's still a small hope for me. Jerry still hadn't got a single model off the board yet. So if this turn, if I managed to lose every single goblin and the game ended, the game would be a draw, which would be phenomenal. But it didn't happen. So on to combat. I decided to call the heroic combat with my bow archer captain. I decided to save Durber's last point of might. I never knew if I needed it for something more important. And thankfully, my captain was higher fight, and we just barely won the fight against that single raider. I had 6 goblins and the captain, and I barely won it. And to wound, I had, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I had 12 attacks from the goblins and 4 on the captain. I just needed 5s. I rolled a single 5. We barely got that combat. So at this point, I'm sweating. I'm terrified of my own dice. I don't know what's gonna happen. We blossom out, start tagging some models. As I mentioned, the tactic at this point was to either suicide my goblins into death to end the game, or to hopefully tag these non-charging Rohirrim, kill them, and start whittling down Jerry so we're both broken and the game can be a draw. That was the plan. Though with my dice rolls, I would be very lucky if I could actually achieve this goal. And as we go, I think this whole left flank you guys are watching with the archer captain, we finally do kill like 1 or 2 Rohan dudes. We end up losing quite a few goblins. And onto the middle, I should have mentioned that Theodred had charged the cave troll with a Son of Earl, and we decided that'd be the last combat, because it was very cinematic, I guess. But in the middle, as you guys can see, this is where we finally started killing a few Rohan riders, but at this point, there's a massive gap in the wall. Any Rohan could come around and tag my drum, and this is where more hilarious dice rolls struck. The dice gods really didn't give a shit about me. The goblin captain who was fighting Rohan rider, this, mind you, he didn't charge me. I charged him. Oh no, he did charge me actually. Right, so he did charge me, and he rolled 2 1s, and I'm thinking, oh my god, my captain with the drum reroll. I just need a 2. I roll 2 1s. Okay, you know what? It's all good. It's all good. I have another dice. I roll it into another 1. Oh my god. So I'm knocked down. Jerry does 2 wounds. I got 2 fury saves. Roll a 1 and a 2. Okay. Got my fate. Roll a 1. And my captain dies right there. So once again, things are looking so bad. But at this point, I'm just laughing. I guess the goblins got what they deserved for invading a small little Rohan village. The only saving grace would be the troll fight. I'm not gonna go over the other goblin fights. Don't matter. More goblins died. We killed like 2 more riders. the fight with Theodred, my cave troll was trapped. Theodred was out of might, so I was higher fight. And this is where my third or fourth 6 came in. Rolled the 6, thus winning the combat. And I'm not joking, it took like 3 minutes of talking to Jerry to decide who I was gonna kill. Just looking at my track record with my dice rolls, I no longer had faith in rolling a 4+ to wound the Son of Earl and Theodred. And one at a time, I rolled the dice. I said, okay, Jerry, if the first dice wounds Theodred, I will commit the other 2. If this dice does not wound him, I will put all 3 into the Son of Earl. So one at a time, I roll a 4. Oh my god, we wounded Theodred. Great, this is looking great. Then I roll a 5. Oh, wow, can I actually do it? And my 5th 6 comes in and I kill Theodred. Oh, I was so happy. Even though the game was gonna end really badly, at least I killed Theodred. That was my only goal, my only hope, and I'm glad the cave troll did it. So on to the next turn. I didn't record the center. I think my camera was misangled, so I have no footage of it. But what you guys see is, or what you guys saw, was Jerry moving one Rohirrim off the table. So he officially won the game. There's no way I was gonna get another model across the table. And the footage you're gonna see is focusing on the left flank with Erkenbrand. And at this point, it's pretty much cleanup for Jerry on this side of the board. My goblin captain, I believe, gets charged by Erkenbrand. A few goblins, or one goblin, dies to throwing spears, but pretty much this whole flank is gone. There's no way these like few limited goblins can withstand essentially a full warband that has full might and everything ready to go. And in the middle, just more goblins were tagged by the charging Rohirrim. I couldn't really do much, so... Okay, Jerry, so tell me how the mid-game is going, and tell us to this point, how do you feel about the game?
Looking at the table, I feel pretty good. Dice gods have been really in my favor. And they're not supporting Moria. So, feel pretty good. Theodred losing all of his wounds is a rough loss, but I think we're gonna be able to weather the storm here at this point.
Are you feeling confident about winning this game now?
Feeling fairly confident. I already have one model off the board, and I think I have now broken my opponent. So
oh yeah.
Looking pretty good. Yeah, I just gotta run those guys off the table, and
that's game.
And that's game.
We'll get back to the game, guys. On to the next turn. Jerry once again gets priority. This forces me to use Durber's last might to call a heroic move. I do that because I'm currently broken, and if I don't do it, my whole army will flee the table. And I'm doing this to use Durber's Iron Fist special rule, which if you don't know, he has a 12-inch steadfast. So knowing that, it'll help save the majority of my army, or what's left of the army. I start tagging as many models as I possibly can with the small heroic move. It doesn't get as many Rohan models as I want, but again, I'm trying to mitigate them charging me. Back to Jerry's movement, he once again just starts charging any goblin he sees left on the table. He gets 2 more cavalry off the table, ensuring the major victory if the game were to end. And on the left side, Erkenbrand and his men start trapping and charging the remaining goblins I had on that side. He traps my goblins because he's planning to call a heroic combat since Erkenbrand still has 3 points of might. I did not realize he had full might. So in my mind, if the game were to continue, I have a big issue to deal with that because I have nothing to contest him anymore, besides maybe the cave troll. But again, knowing he has more might, my cave troll wouldn't be long if he were to fight Erkenbrand. And onto the combat, once again, Erkenbrand easily wins the heroic combat, and he simply just charges them towards more goblin combats, ensuring the goblins will die. Now onto the center of the table, the combats don't look too good. I had Durbers and a Shaman on one, or was it just Durbers alone, and maybe another goblin, fighting a single guard. Won the fight, couldn't kill anything. More goblins trying the best, smacking these guys, but we can't kill. And my shaman unfortunately dies. I think he just took like 2 wounds. I rolled again a 2 and a 4 for my fury, and then fate I rolled a 1, and my goblin shaman died. So there goes my fury bubble. And I thought there's still a chance. I'm not shattered yet. 1 more model to go. We go to the cave troll fight. I roll a high of a 3. He rolls a 6. His son of Earl kills my cave troll, thus shattering my army. So that was game. At the end of the turn, I was officially shattered with the death of my cave troll. And the score, I believe, was I got his leader for 2 points. He broke me for, I want to say, 2 points or 3 because he wasn't broken. And he got 7. So I think it was a 10 and 2 in favor of the Rohan. Rightfully deserved, but still a hilarious game with all the dice rolls and just like the ridiculousness of what I witnessed throughout the whole game. Okay. So Jerry, this is the post-game interview. Just tell us from the beginning to the end how everything went, how you felt, and you can show everyone your MVP on the table.
Yeah. I came in up in the middle, and my plan was to, since I had 30 cav models, which is a decent amount of models. My plan was to kind of divide up my enemy, and then try to come in at both sides and kind of get him in a pincer move, which worked out pretty well. I had a couple really lucky breaks with the cave troll. That first turn in combat with this Royal Guard, not rolling a 6, and the Royal Guard did with his 1 dice, and that saved probably half my force from getting dismounted right there from a hurl. So that was a really lucky break. Otherwise, I don't know how the game would have gone. But Rohan, with this beautiful terrain,
painted by him,
and my army matches the terrain. So I think that's the dice gods were looking down on us and smiling.
How did you feel about your army list overall? And do you think you would change anything, or for now this is a good solid 600 points?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I did the pre-order for Aemir yesterday, so the only thing I would change is I would replace Theodred with Aemir, just for that extra 2 fate and the extra wound. So, yeah, that's it. So then, that would be pretty nice. Also getting the horse armored up a little bit would be pretty sweet. So I could avoid a little bit of that bow fire. Other than that, I don't really think it changed much. I like the whole Erkenbrand. It's my first time ever using Erkenbrand, and I think my first time ever using Theodred. So I wanted to do a little something extra.
Badass.
Yeah, and Sons of Eorl, that strength 5 on the charge, actually that ended up being big, especially when they were fighting the cave troll. So.
Yeah, one Son of Earl killed the cave troll last turn. Very sad.
Yeah, he just beasted it up.
Like
I did lose one of the Sons of Eorl, but this guy, this Royal Guard, he saved Rohan. He saved this village. So.
That's awesome, dude. So there you guys have it. I hope you guys enjoyed the battle report. Sorry it took a bit to get it out. School just started. I have some commissions to do and just seeing some friends. So it kind of messed up my schedule. But definitely we'll have another battle report coming up soon. And expect more tactic videos. I hopefully will have one posted with this video today. So keep your guys' eyes out for that. And in the comments below, just let me know if you guys like the format, if you want to see something different. Hopefully, we'll be seeing Jerry again, and then Jack with his hopefully new mortar force. And I think hopefully the next video, you'll see Javier's dun landings on the battle report. So until then, enjoy.